Welcome back to some new r/petty revenge stories, where people get small victories over those who wronged them. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called He Humiliates Himself. A long time ago, I worked in a software call center. I had recently had a baby and was working part-time from home. Working from home was a very new concept for this company. I was one of the first to try this, and there were plenty of people in management who did not approve of this. They assumed I was slacking off. And to be fair, I was not working standard hours. I negotiated a late shift to support clients on the other side of the country, working until 8 PM, so my husband could look after the baby. My boss loved this, as otherwise, he would have to pay overtime for out-of-hours calls. We had to record time on each client, so they could be billed. They had a separate reporting system. I had to manually enter the client, incident number, time spent, and run the report, then press submit at the end of the week. This report was the responsibility of another manager, who insisted that I had to submit the report by 5 PM on Friday, so he could review the numbers Monday first thing. He would email me every Friday at 5 PM to say it was late again. I would explain over and over that I work until 8 PM and I would be submitting it that night. He just would not understand. But whatever, I did not report to him, so I started to ignore him, which in retrospect was a mistake. One week I received an email. This had been copied to every single layer of management above me, complaining bitterly about people who submit their reports late every single week. It was obviously targeting me. I felt very isolated working from home and felt like he was turning everyone in the office against me. I went into the reporting tool and searched around and found an option to check for late submissions. Pressed it and entered my name. It came up with one late entry. Turns out the submission deadline was Sunday evening and my submissions were all on time. I pressed reply all on the email and attached a print screen of the report. Before pressing send, I checked more closely on the one late submission. It was entered first thing Monday morning. I searched my emails and found an email to this guy. I had taken a 1-week vacation a couple of months prior, and you could not enter your time in advance. So I had emailed him and asked him to enter it in my absence. And that was my one late submission. I attached a print screen of that as well. I rewrote my response many times, ranging from snippy, "Thanks for wasting my time," to hurt, "I don't know why I'm being targeted like this." In the end, I deleted all additions and sent just the print screens. I did add my immediate boss, who had been mysteriously left off the original email. I never received any response to that email, but my boss called me, howling with laughter. Everyone was talking about it. The next story is called Superstore Worker. A few years ago, I was a supervisor working for the city's roads works. Working shift work would mean that you found yourself working on a Sunday evening, which was very slow. The other 3 supervisors and myself would meet for a coffee and talk. One evening, as we were sitting around our table having coffee, a fellow that was at the other end of the coffee shop gets up. He walks past us to the washroom. When he gets to our table, he says, "Effing city workers," and continues into the washroom. One of the supervisors says he recognizes the guy. He pushes a broom at the superstore. So this guy comes out of the washroom eventually and starts toward our table with a smirk on his face. Before he can say anything, we all say, "Effing superstore workers." His eyes go wide, his mouth drops open, and he looks a shade paler. He shuts his mouth and speed walks out of the coffee shop. Be careful who you insult. The third story is called Card Pusher Adventures. A long time ago, I was working at that place with the blue vest as a card pusher. I didn't mind the job. I listened to music all day, and no one really bothered me. However, lots of people would do lots of little things that would set me off, and I became very adept at getting petty revenge. Most of this came from strategically placing cards near people's vehicles. There are 2 instances where I would do this on a regular basis. The first is, people would park their cars in this big empty space, where we were supposed to load the cards. This made my job difficult, because loading them in the front of the bay meant dodging customers. So a few times this would happen, I'd bring in loads of cards and run them along the side and behind the vehicle, so that when they came back, they had to move the collection of cards put in the array to leave. Secondly, people would sometimes park in front of the card corrals spread throughout the parking lot, making it difficult to do my job. The way they were designed was for us to load up on the back and push the row of cards forward, which takes all of 2 seconds. If we have to take the cards out backward, it takes much longer. So I'd always push the cards as far as they go without actually hitting the vehicle. I was trying to annoy and not getting fired for damaging someone's car. Lastly, there were situations where my anger went beyond petty revenge. That's when people would leave kids in their car. The policy is to radio in. They page the vehicle, and if no one responds, then we would call the police. But I would skip all that. I would just call the police as a concerned citizen and let them know I found a little child left alone in a vehicle. Now, if the kids were like 12 or older and playing on their tablets or phones or whatever, then obviously I didn't bother. But when I saw small kids being left alone, it boiled my blood. The last story is called The One-Upper. I had a co-worker, Lorna, who was very insecure and would compensate with having or knowing more than everyone else. She'd interrupt conversations to share what she knew. Another co-worker, Sandy, and I were in a book club together. Lorna sees us talking and says she loved the book. I pretty much didn't think she read it because it's historical fiction, and Lorna thinks history is boring. Sandy asked me if I thought we should invite Lorna to the book club meeting. I said that would be a great idea. She then sends Lorna the details and mentions she has a list of good questions for the group. At the night of the book club, Sandy starts out with a specific question about the book. All but Lorna answered. She asks another question, and Lorna excuses herself to go to the bathroom. When she returns, she says she has to leave because her daughter's car broke down and needs a ride home. The next couple of days, Lorna is distant with me at work. At one point, she asked me how did the rest of the book club go, and I said it was great. We enjoyed the first volume so much that we planned to read the next volume. She said that I could have told her the host asked questions. She said she had never heard of book clubs that had questions. I invited her to the next meeting and was given a defiant no as an answer. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.